Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the East Bay Regional Park District regular board meeting for December 21st, 2021. And it is 1:15, and we apologize for the late start. We always seem to have technical difficulties, but this is the last meeting of the year. And Madam Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Yes, President Rosario. Director Coffey.
Present.
Director Lane.
Here.
Director Wasfi.
Aye.
Director Eccles.
Here.
Director Wieskamp.
Here.
Director Corbett.
Present.
President Rosario.
Here.
Deputy General Manager Alvarez.
Present.
District Counsel Victor.
Here.
CFO AGM Alker.
Present.
AGM Chief Giobaro.
Present.
AGM Keltner. Oh, she's not here. AGM.
Pardon me, Yolanda, I think the conference room account was muted and we can't hear anymore.
Room account. You can't hear me?
It's good now.
Okay. AGM Johnson, I'm sorry.
Present.
AGM O'Connor
Present.
and Eric Fueller, Chief of Legislative and Government Affairs.
Present.
Thank you, President Rosario.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask Director Wieskamp if she would like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. And I believe Director Lane has an land acknowledgement for us this afternoon.
Yes, thank you. So can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, today what I would like to do is do a different kind of a tribute to the Baymiwak Chukan and tell a story about an incident which became the origin of the name Mount Diablo. In 1805, natives who were fleeing from Spanish soldiers disappeared into a marsh in the north part of Concord, could have been around Pacheco Marsh. The soldiers were reluctant to go into the marsh and they heard sounds, but they waited until daylight, and by morning they could find no one in the marsh. Some writers theorized that the Indians had boats in this marsh and they had fled across the water to relatives and friends in Suisun and perhaps Baymiwak who were Omping, and disappeared altogether. And the Spanish call this area Monte de Diablo, or in Old Spanish, Thicket of the Devil. And eventually a rancho took that name. And then finally the mountain became known as Mount Diablo. So with this, I want to acknowledge this land, which was Baymiwak Chukan land.
Thank you very much. Today's meeting is held pursuant to the Brown Act as amended by AB 361. Board members and staff may participate via phone or video conferencing. This meeting is a hybrid of an in-person attendance with board members, designated staff, and members of the public. We are also providing live audio and video streaming and have provided the public the opportunity to submit written comments and call in for public comments for an item on the staff report, or to call in and leave a voice message. Public comments may be submitted one of three ways, and Madam Clerk, can you please explain those three ways?
Yes, President Rosario. Members of the public can send an email to me via my email address at yburial@ebparks.org. They can leave a message at 510-544-2016, or they can simply join the meeting and raise their hands when it's called to them. I just wanted to make a point to say that public comments will not be read at the meeting, but included in the final board packet All comments and letters received before the 3 p.m. deadline yesterday have been distributed to the board and will not be read at this meeting.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions about the meeting procedures? Seeing none, a motion is in order. Move Director Eccles,
Second.
second Director Coffey. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, President Rosario. Director Wieskamp.
Aye.
Director Eccles.
Aye.
Director Wasfi. Director Coffey.
Aye.
Director Lane.
Aye.
Director Corbett.
Aye.
President Rosario.
Aye. Thank you.
Moved and seconded.
At this time, do we have any public comments?
Yes, President Rosario, just to let you know, we did receive in the mail, we received 6 or 7 comments on, the title was USDA's Wildlife Services Don't Renew. All of those comments were sent to you in the email, and I'm just gonna publicly acknowledge who sent them. Dallas Herndon, Christina Durespes, Karen Carton, Lila Dizzetti, Dr. Arlene Sane, Laura Haldo, Cynthia Burke, Abby Hamilton, Dr. Carrie Freeman, and Rosemarie Lugiviv. And those were all regarding, just as USDA's Wildlife Services, but you do have the emails. We also have a public comment from, I believe, Chris Newey is on this meeting. I can't see you. Oh, there you are. Chris, you have 3 minutes. Chris Newey. Okay,
You're on mute,
who's on? Oh, he's on mute.
Chris.
Chris, can you hear me? Okay, we're
Testing,
gonna.
hello.
Oh, there you go. Yay. Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm actually going to pass on my public comment at this time. I'm going to summarize it in my comments later on in the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker then, just didn't see, I think it's a Cassidy Schulman. You're in the, oh, there you go. Cassidy, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. My name is Cassidy Schulman. I'm grateful for this opportunity to address the board. In the past, I've attended these meetings as a concerned member of the general public and as the writer of a petition signed by more than 70,000 people who condemned the district-sanctioned massacre of at least 18 cats in 2020. Today, I am also here as a representative of In Defense of Animals and the thousands of IDA supporters who have called upon you to sever ties with wildlife services. For anyone who may not be aware, Wildlife Services is a division of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. If you can see my screen, you're looking at an article from National Geographic. The title is, "This Government Program's Job is to Kill Wildlife." The photo, credited to the USDA, shows a man with a dead wolf standing next to a helicopter. The caption reads, "A Wildlife Services trapper in Idaho holds a wolf shot from the air." That isn't an article I dredged up from an obscure animal rights publication. That is what National Geographic has to say about wildlife services. On their own website, Wildlife Services admits to having killed 1.5 million animals in the United States in 2020 alone. Bethany Cotton, Wildlife Program Director for Wild Earth Guardians, has said, "Wildlife Services' killing of native wildlife is scientifically baseless, ethically bankrupt, and fiscally foolish." Greta Anderson, Deputy Director of Western Watersheds Project, has called Wildlife Services practices morally wrong, environmentally counterproductive, and procedurally illegal. This is the agency you have contracted with for more than a quarter of a century. I've been informed that you do not yet have data for 2021, so I will talk about 2020. In 2020, the Park District paid Wildlife Services $67,315. This money bought you 58 corpses. Corpses of crows, gulls, cats, coyotes, opossums, raccoons, one raven, red foxes, skunks, and even 9 cottontail rabbits in Tilden Park. 58 deaths for $67,315. That is $1,160 spent per animal killed. Your partnership with Wildlife Services sends a message to our community that killing is acceptable, that individual lives are worthless, and that wild animals are disposable. Your sole source contract with USDA's Wildlife Services expires on December 31st. Please do not continue your partnership with this agency. The public does not want to see taxpayer dollars used to decimate wildlife. I implore you to implement effective, science-based, humane, and non-lethal solutions to address wildlife management issues. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Cassidy. There are a couple of people in the meeting that I do not recognize. So I just want to give you an opportunity. If you are here to speak publicly, just raise your hands. Give you a second or two to do that. And I am not saying anything. Okay, President Rosario, we do not have any more public comments. Mhm. You're welcome.
Okay, so thank you for the comments. We will definitely look at that, that contract as it comes up. We are now at the consent calendar. Are there any questions from the board?
As President Rosario, we did receive several questions from the board, and I believe they were all answered. So we had Director Lane actually does have a comment on item D. And you did also have a question, President Rosario, on item D that was responded by Lisa Gorgian. Yes. Item G, President Rosario had a question about that was responded by Jeff Rasmussen. And Director Lane also had a question regarding seeing the design for the residents. Did you have that responded to sufficiently or no? Okay, we do have that. I believe Jeff, I don't know if Jeff is here or online. Let me take a look while I go through the rest of them.
I'm here.
And then item E, President Rosario had a question. Item H, O'Connor and Patterson responded to those questions from Director Rosario. Item L, Jonathan Hobbs responded and also has a photo if you'd like to see. And all of the, and then item, in the general manager's comments, Director Rosario had several questions. They were all responded to by Public Safety, Chief Tiley, Matt Grau, and Pete DeQuincy.
I received all those answers. Thank you.
Okay. So I don't know if you would like to.
Jeff is here.
Jeff is here? Okay. If you want to respond to Director Lane. Jeff Rasmussen?
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Rasmussen, Assistant Finance Officer and Director Lane and President Rosario. I think the question was asked about the design for the errata building. I will attempt to share my screen and see if I can share this with you all. Can you see that screen, the building?
Yes.
Thank you. So here's the design for the residents, the errata residents at Black Diamond. I'll give you the board a chance to look at it and welcome to take any questions.
When I was interested where it would be located on the plot as well.
Sure. Here's the plot map. These maps are a little detailed. These came from the historical evaluation conducted by our planning department, showing the map of all the structures on the property. It's located in two maps. Here on the map on the left shows the location, and then also here on the right, there's a small arrow to the building number 3. So that's the location.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's what I was interested in seeing.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Were there any public comments on consent calendar? Oh, was there one more?
Just, well, Jeff was around. I wanted to ask,
Oh, sure.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
since I have Jeff available, the errata residence site currently has or has had historically a someone living in a trailer there. Is that correct? So this is replacing that.
Yes, that's true, but that resident left a number of months ago. The trailer obviously was substandard and the resident left, so it is currently vacant.
All right, thank you.
Director Lane and then Director Waspy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say with regard to D, which is adding fishing docks and restrooms at Contra Loma, that I had the chance to go by Contra Loma last week, and the new pier in another area and the restrooms really looks very nice. So congratulations for that. It's just at the entry as you come in, and looks much improved from past years. So thanks.
Director Waspy. Oh, anything else on this question? Then we can go to,
President Rosario, I'd just like to add to that comment regarding the docks is that Lisa Corgian sent a response that you may not have seen, and she says the new docks are aluminum and are designed to rise and fall with the water as levels change. They are modular and can be portable if needed. So just adding to that.
Okay, so they're like the ones I saw. Yeah, thanks.
that was the answer to my question. After seeing Lake Chabot and the docks there, it's like, you know, the fact that they can be dismantled and moved around. We don't have to have them stranded like they are at Lake Chabot. Any other questions on this one? And then we move on to H, I believe. Director Waspy.
Yeah, thank you. This was just a comment and a question. So it concerns the approval of the Oyster Bay Disc Golf Club and a special use agreement. And I see Mr. Rexroth is online. I don't know, Jeff, if you were the guy that gave us that great tour a couple of years ago at a board site tour, but it was amazing. The work you've done is amazing. I've toured out there in the last about a month ago. What you did out there and what your group did out there, I think is amazing and a great partnership. And I look forward to a great partnership with you in the future. And also the only comment I have is when you do have, I hope you have 5 tournaments a year that is allowed in your contract. And I hope you invite board members out to each and every one of those tournaments, because I'd love to be involved with that. Thanks very much.
Any other questions unanswered by the board?
I move we
Seeing none.
adopt the consent calendar.
Second. Make sure we don't have any public comments on consent.
No, not on consent.
Okay, no public comments. Okay, a motion is in order to approve.
Second.
Okay, Director Lane, motion, second by Director Wieskamp. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes, President Rosario. Director Coffey,
Aye.
Director Waspy,
Aye.
Director Lane,
Aye.
Director Corbett,
Aye.
Director Eccles,
Aye.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
and President Rosario.
Aye,
Consent calendar is unanimously approved.
great. And then we're going to suspend the order of the, just for a moment, we're going to move item number 4, the nomination of board directors, to right before the public hearing for number 2, to accommodate some of our board members have some time issues. And so item number 2 is the nomination of board officers for the following year. And I wanted to announce that the nominations committee met on Saturday, which is what? I don't even have the date there. So this last Saturday. And so we meeting was called to order at 11 a.m. We adjourned at 11:16, and a motion was forwarded by Director Corbett and seconded by Director Wieskamp to the following slate: President Colin Coffey, Vice President Beverly Lane, Treasurer Dennis Waspy, and Secretary Elizabeth Eccles. And then that will be forwarded to the elections at our next meeting in January. And we also confirmed the rotation of officers for the future as follows: after Secretary Eccles would be Ann Wieskamp, Ellen Corbett, and then myself. So thank you very much. And that will move forward to next month's meeting. in
We have
January.
to move and adopt this.
Yes, so we need a motion to move.
Happy to move that resolution. Thank you.
Great. Director Corbett made the motion. Is there a second? Second, Director Wieskamp. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, President Rosario, Director Lane,
Aye.
Director Coffee,
Aye.
Director Corbett,
Aye.
Director Waspi, Director Eccles, Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
and President Rosario.
Aye.
We have unanimously approved our officers.
Thank you very much. I look forward to this.
Good luck, Mr. President, and the rest of you. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for the honor.
That brings us to item number 2, Executive and Legislative Division. And I am going to declare a public hearing, the opening of a public hearing on the budget for 2022.
Thank you, Director Rosario. Deputy General Manager, Dr. Ana Alvarez, in the stead of our General Manager, Sabrina Landreth. I would like to introduce the second public hearing for the budget, the proposed budget for 2022 for the East Bay Regional Park District. We do have a brief presentation by staff, but in form of introductory remarks, I wanted to echo the sentiment that was shared by our General Manager to the Board of Directors in terms of the process. This was definitely a very much a collaborative process that brought forward the interests and needs of the different departments and divisions through the participation of many, many staff members. It should be noted that the actual request that came in, the original request, more than double the funds that we have available to be able to carry on the mission of the East Bay Regional Park District for one more year. And so having to prioritize and to understand the competing interests was certainly a good exercise to be able to assess and determine what are the key priorities. And I'm very glad to say that through the budget, the planned budget for 2022 certainly showcases our commitment for mission delivery. The East Bay Regional Park District is certainly on a mission, and the budget makes that very clear as it's a policy document. I also would like to acknowledge the good work of the finance team led by our CFO, AGM of Finance and Management Services, Deborah Acker, Deb Spalwin, and Christina Crosby, who partner with many of us to have all those endless conversations. And how do you bring down twice what we had available in a place where we can certainly keep in mind your interests, your priorities, as well as attend to the needs of the different folks that are delivering on the mission of the district at every level of the organization. So with those introductory remarks, I'd like to turn it over to our CFO, Deborah Acker, to be carrying on the presentation for today.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. Deborah Acker, CFO and AGM of Finance and Management Services. Today, we are here to request the adoption of the proposed 2022 budget. Matthew, I hope you can pull up the slides for us. Thank you. And so, as Dr. Alvarez said, we have been on a journey to get this budget before you. The Finance Committee met in October and in November to discuss the budget. The Park Advisory Committee met in November. This board met on December 7th to receive the introduction of the budget and public comments. And here we are today requesting the adoption by a resolution along with the GAN limit. So I'm just going to do a few highlights because we went into a lot of detail last time. Next slide. We are here proposing to you the 2022 proposed budget is balanced and it's totaling at $290 million. That includes transfers, and that's about a 12% increase from last year. Remember, last year we were very conservative with putting together our budget. So we are seeing some growth in the economy, and we are seeing where we're kind of getting back to normal a little bit in this year's budget. Next slide. On the revenue sources side of our budget, we have the majority of our budget is property tax. The total revenue sources district-wide are $268 million. Property tax makes up $190 million. That's a 7% increase from the prior year. Charges for services are about 33 million. And that's a pretty big increase, bringing us back to the 2019 revenues for park fees and all the activities that we do here. Property usage is 2.7 million, which is about the same. Interest and other interagency agreements make up the rest of about 6.7 million, which is a little low. Next slide. On the expenditure side, appropriations for this year are 256 million. The majority of that is personnel costs. 150 million make up personnel costs. That's a 7% increase from the prior year, or about $10 million in growth. And that is also because last year we did not add very many new positions. This budget includes 36.8 new full-time equivalent positions and wage increases that have been approved by the board previously. The remainder of the budget, about 55 million in supplies and services. Capital outlay that are kind of non-major multi-year project related are 6.8 million. Interagency agreements, 12.7 million. Debt service on our certificates of participation, 3.8 million, and interdistrict charges, 17 million for the total. So those are the big highlights district-wide. I'm going to have Deborah Spalding come up and give you a little economic indicators update, and then I'll return back and talk about the projects, and we'll close out our presentation. So Deb.
All right, good afternoon. Deborah Spalding, Assistant Finance Officer. So we have a balanced budget right now, as Deborah just presented to you, but things are changing very quickly. So we wanted to give you the latest updates, what we're seeing. And there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. So when we developed our revenue budget, for example, Omicron hadn't been found yet. So things are changing quickly. Oh, sorry, just moved my own slide. So starting at the national level, this is from the Federal Open Market Committee's most recent meeting on December 15th. So they were projecting GDP growth of 4% next year, but the word uncertainty appears 46 times in their press release, that's pretty uncertain. And then those charts down there show the risk to GDP growth and the uncertainty that they're feeling. So their uncertainty was higher at this meeting than it was in the previous meeting. And they're feeling that the risk is, possibly could be balanced risk, but could be weighted to the downside. And now looking at the state level, I was looking back at last year's presentation to you. And so on this is from the State Legislative Analyst Office. So last year at this time, we brought to you a presentation saying that they were projecting an emergence of a new ongoing deficit that would begin this fiscal year and would widen through 24-25, expecting the economy and tax revenues to grow more slowly. This year, it's like the polar opposite. They're saying despite the ongoing global pandemic, revenues are growing at historic rates. And they're saying the surplus could be 10 billion or it could be 60 billion. So completely opposite, very, very uncertain again. And then next slide, thank you. So this is again from the Legislative Analyst Office. On the right, we have a slide showing the revenue growth. So it's from income tax, sales tax, and corporate tax. They're saying that in the last 12-month period, tax collections grew at 30%, which is the fastest rate in 4 decades. And then on the left side, I have a little quote that says, knowing if this is sustainable is impossible. So they're feeling like it's so unprecedented. They have no idea if this will last, if it's a one-time bubble, or what's happening. And then looking more locally, this is the UCLA Anderson quarterly forecast for the Bay Area, which just came out December 8th. So they're saying that they expect the Bay Area's economic growth to be a little bit slower than the state overall. Labor market headwinds will curb growth in the Bay Area. And also because of the expiration of government stimulus programs and the risk of inflation, personal income growth is expected to decline with positive growth returning in 2023. So what does that mean for us? Well, we have a balanced budget today. We have a balanced budget policy that we will continue to follow through the remainder of the year. And our policy tells us to, I highlighted number 6, to continue measuring and monitoring revenue performance and make budget adjustments as needed. So as Deborah pointed out, our revenues are primarily property taxes, which should be fairly stable. But if anything changes substantially, we'll be back with our quarterly reports to bring that information to you. And I turn it back over to Deborah now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deborah. So all of that said is to say that as we put the budget together, we do it with the best information that's available to us at the time. And we will throughout the year monitor all of these economic changes and let you know if there's anything that we need to act upon. So with that, as we put together our budget, we also set performance goals. So I'm just going to highlight some of the performance goals in our budget. These are things that, for this year, we are expecting that we'll have the funds for this. Some of these projects have been our multi-year projects that are already funded and in process. Next slide. And you are familiar with this because I've gone over these slides with you before. So one of our major goals are related to climate change. And so continuing our land acquisition program, there's funding in the budget for that. Also, our Coyote Hills public access and habitat restoration project is underway, working on that, and our ecological health assessment. Next slide. Improving access to public parklands and outreach to underrepresented groups. We'll be able to open the Brickyard Cove new park as part of McLaughlin East Shore Park. And remember, the state had contributed over $5 million for that. Also, we're working on the Tidewater day use area, phase 1. We received over $1.5 million from Prop 68 funds for that. Working on the Contra Loma facility improvements, and then also continuing our community equity assessment related to diversity. Next slide. Fostering a safe visitor experience, continuing our police department values, swimming lessons, our hazardous tree program, and then also continuing our work with the railroad to make safe at grade or other types of crossings of the railroads for our trails. Next slide. Enhancing our visitors' relationship to nature. We are going to be able to open the, we're going to expand the interpretive sector at the Del Val Visitor Center, which recently opened. Completing the interpretive pavilion at Shadow Cliffs, and then also adding interpretive exhibits to the Sonol Visitor Center, and working on our website and mobile applications. Next slide. Balancing environmental considerations with outdoor recreation opportunities includes working on the extension of the San Francisco Bay Trail at Point Melotti, continuing land use plans and master plans, and constructing natural surface trails out at Pleasanton Ridge. Next slide. Restore, preserve, and protect scenic, natural, and cultural resources, continuing our fuels management, our vegetation management program. Also creek restorations, pond restorations, and working on our grazing program and making sure there's sufficient water sources during these times of drought, which hopefully it will start raining this afternoon. Next slide. Ensuring the physical health of the district. We're going to be highlighting our information services department by putting together a kind of complete long-term master plan. We're also working at continuing our grant program for regional trail projects and seeking federal funding, issuing a new round of Measure WW bonds to continue that program, a portion of it being green bonds, and working on our encroachment permit process for efficiencies. And our last slide, attract and retain a diverse workforce of excellence. So continuing work on our park facilities, including building the Dunbarton Quarry service yard, implementing recommendations from our diversity, equity, and inclusion assessment, and continuing all kinds of good communications with staff and making improvements in that area. Next slide. So just a couple of slides on our projects. You can recall we have multi-year projects and programs. Next slide. They cover through the entire district. So in volume 2 of your budget, you have this map here, and these are just highlighting some of the many projects that are going on during the 2022 year. So, you know, Roberts Park is on there, Don Castro, Doolittle, the pavilion that I mentioned, and many others. Next slide. So of the, what is it, $390 million budget, our funding sources, I'm attempting to respond to Director Coffey's question in this one slide, but our funding sources are pretty diverse. So for all of these different projects, we have 32% of district funds. Our bond program supports these particular active projects with 27% of the funding. We have grants of 26%, and then the rest is made up of other funding sources. Next slide. And what are the projects made up of? So 20% for land acquisition, public access is about 30%, resource enhancement, 16%, and then infrastructure and technology is the remaining 34%. And those are our multi-year projects. So next slide. So that's really the conclusion of our report. As I mentioned, we've gone through many steps of review, and today we are here with our final adoption of the budget. And so if there are any public comments or any questions from the board, we're happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any public comments?
Yes, President Rosario. There is one public comment from Chris Newey. Chris, you can unmute and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Yolanda.
You're welcome.
President Rosario, Board of Directors, General Manager Landreth. My name is Chris Newey, President of ASME Local 2428. We are here to, we have a couple little issues with the proposed budget. There's 2 proposed management analyst positions, one in ISD and one in risk. We believe it is important to get on the record that we do not think these particular classifications are the best use of district funds. That being said, we are currently working with district management and will continue to work through the dispute with management to hopefully get the situation resolved. I also wanted to point out that at one of these meetings where we were trying to resolve this issue, there was a comment from a manager that characterizes the union safety concerns over the last couple of years as a pain in their behind. This manager was not saying this with ill intent, but I believe it highlights some of the issues between ASME and district management that need to be resolved. Our advocacy for the workforce is seen as a hindrance to completing the district's mission and not seen as a voice of the workforce and a mechanism to resolve conflict. We need this to change. Which is why I'm here calling this behavior out rather than just letting inappropriate comments go by. I hope we will continue to make progress developing a true partnership with district management so we cannot see each other in this manner, and hope that the district management and board of directors will do the same. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Chris. Any?
There are no more public comments.
Okay,
President
great.
Rosario.
President Rosario, I might just add that there was an email sent a couple of weeks ago from Bruce Byard that was sent to all of you supporting many of the projects in the Richmond area that are included in the budget.
Yes, gotcha, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Director Wasserman.
Well, just another great thank you. A concise, clear document. Well, clear for some people, not me, but it took a while. But every end, when I didn't understand it, was explained by staff. So another great job, another great budget. I truly appreciate all you guys do.
Great. Director Wieskamp.
I continue to be impressed by the meticulousness of detail, because I think that makes the difference in this budget from a lot of others. And the fact that you go to staff and get their input and try to make it work for everybody. So congratulations on another excellent job.
Director Lane.
This is the first time I've been on finance for a while, and I want to congratulate staff for the clarity that you bring, and often subjects that many of us don't deal with day in, day out. So we appreciate that. And I am really pleased to see what we were able to do with the budget this year, particularly in adding staff in the field, in part because we just couldn't do that last year. So of course, it was interesting to hear from Deborah about the uncertainties that we are facing. And I think we just have to get used to our uncertainties and make our best guesses. And I will say that many of that our staff's best guesses have been really good guesses. And we appreciate all of the work that went into this budget. So thank you once again. Please pass that on to all of your staff.
We will pass it on to staff. Thank you.
And Mr. President,
Yes, go ahead. Director
I
Carter.
would just like to say I also enjoyed being on the Finance Committee with our chair, Director Lane. But it's just so impressive to see the work that is done, the projects that we're funding, the work that's been done to bring in funding from the federal government and the state to do this work during the time of COVID. I mean, it is amazing, all this amazing, wonderful success that we have moving forward. So congratulations, Deborah, and to the rest of your staff to help put this all together, and everybody else who's involved in finding that funding that we can use for these amazing projects. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Eccles.
Well, I also just want to extend my thanks. I won't say much since we've already gone over it a couple times in Finance Committee and last time, but truly, it's a great budget, reflects the values of the district, which is the most important thing, and really happy that we were able to have enough revenue and make the changes to be able to add staff and a focus on other areas that are also of very high importance to the district. So really want to thank your team and you and really all, let's just say everybody, because everybody was involved in one way or another. So thank you for your work on this.
Anyone? Director Coffey.
You know, President Rosario, since you look at me, all right, I get it. But I too have voiced my gratitude and appreciation of all the work that you folks have put into this. And it just reminds me to point out that this is a very much a good news budget that we all should be proud of and jumping up and down a bit about, especially compared to sister public agencies. And it also portends a very robust year next year. There's a lot in this budget, both literally and figuratively, to be implemented next year. So you all are going to be working real hard, and I very much look forward to working with you folks.
Anyone else? Okay. First, I just wanted to respond to the public comments. I believe specifically Chris Nui there. I believe we're still in negotiations, and I applaud both management and the union working together, continuing to negotiate things out. And also regarding safety, I think the budget reflects the our concern and about the safety for our employees, and that we've hired more staff to deal directly with safety issues. And I look forward to seeing a lot of these issues being taken care of, and because our safety of our employees is definitely a top priority, and I think that reflects it in the budget. And going to the budget, my colleagues have said it all already, and again, you and your department are the naturalists of finance. And I think that it encapsulates everything and in your work. And now that your work is almost done, you're going to start over again. It's like that Pink Floyd song, you know, where the rabbit has to keep running. You dig your hole and you got to dig another one. So my appreciation to you and your staff and everyone that's involved, because it is everybody from the bottom up that participates in these. And when it comes to us, it's just amazing what we do and how you do it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, President Rosario. And as Director Coffey said, it's a very ambitious work plan, and we do appreciate the support from the board. So thank you. And if you could close the public hearing, then
We'll
we
do
will
that.
be on task. Thank you.
Okay. With that, the public hearing is closed. Great. And I believe there is a motion. Yeah, a motion is in order. Director Lane.
So moved that we adopt the budget. Does a GAN limit need to be a separate one, that we adopt the budget at this time?
Second, Director Eccles. We have a motion and a second. And Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Yes, President Rosario, Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Eccles,
Aye.
Director Coffey,
Aye.
Director Waspy, Director Lane,
Aye.
Director Corbett,
Aye.
and President Rosario.
Aye,
Thank you.
thank you.
Can we be facetious and applaud all the
We-
staff in the budget?
We have to
We'll do
approve
our
this-
last
the
resolution. We
second-
have one more resolution
second
for the
resolution.
GAN limit,
Yeah,
please.
Yes.
Yes. I need another motion.
Is that a second presentation? No. No presentation? Okay. Then we also have.
I move we
I don't see-
approve
I
the
can put it in.
2022 appropriations limit.
Seconds.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Yes, President Rosario, Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Eccles,
Aye.
Director Waspy,
Aye.
Director Coffey,
Aye.
Director Lane,
Aye.
Director Corbett,
Aye.
and President Rosario.
Aye.
Okay, now we
You're
can
welcome.
clap.
Thank you.
Celebrate.
Okay, item number 3. Let me check in with Director Wieskamp. Are you okay for one more item?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Then we'll take a little break.
We're moving along expeditiously.
Great. Item number 3, Acquisition, Stewardship, and Development Division. 3A, authorization to execute a contract with Quincy Engineering for construction management services and authorization to purchase Romtec buildings at Coyote Hills Regional Park.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Rosario, members of the board. I'm Lisa Gorgon, Chief of Design and Construction, here to introduce this board item this afternoon. So while there's been a lot going on at Coyote Hills this past year with Dunbarton Quarry opening, want to remind you that we have more work going on at Coyote Hills. So this project and then also the well project that's also being done on this property, the former Patterson Ranch property that was donated to the district. So and with the well, just as a reminder, it has been underway. It faced some delays this past year with supply chain, but we are anticipating it being completed next spring. So we're looking forward to that. So just a little bit about this project before you today. The scope, as the project title suggests, is to convert former donated farmland to habitat and to provide public access. The project, like all of our projects, I want to say all, but then I thought that was an exaggeration, but really that's really all of our projects come with a whole team of ASD, park operations, legislative affairs, business services. So it's really a village. So while Chris and I are up here today,
it's all of us at the district who are moving these projects forward. And I mentioned Chris Barton, who is the Restoration Projects Program Manager. So he'll be giving this presentation and go over the scope, the schedule, and the budget, and to seek authorization on 2 items: to authorize a construction management services contract and to purchase 2 buildings, a flush restroom and a kiosk for this project. This project is the size and complexity of our other projects where we bring on construction management services. The project covers about 170 acres, about 4 miles of trail, and has a construction cost estimate of about 10 million. So it's pretty, this is when we think about level of effort, this is the type of project where we bring on those services. Additionally, we're looking to purchase the restrooms and the restroom and kiosks now to streamline our building permit process. And Chris will talk more about that. So just finally, I just want to highlight that this project is really, it's as significant as it really embodies the district's climate change adaptation performance measure. Deborah just went over the district's performance measures, and we really like to think of the projects we're doing, how they fit those. And this really is a nice example of that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. I'm Chris Barton, Restoration Projects Manager with the Park District. And I have a slideshow. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If that's displaying okay, can I get a thumbs up? Yes, okay, great. Thank you. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to have just a little review because it's been some time since we presented the project, and provide an update on where we're at with the project. And here we go. So starting with the location. So Coyote Hills is one of our full featured parks, so the board is very aware of. It's actually more than 50, it's been with the district for more than 50 years. It's located in Ward 5 and Director Wieskamp's ward in Alameda County, in the city of Fremont. So looking at the project area, zooming in, the area highlighted in purple, that's the Patterson parcel along with the church parcel, totaling about 306 acres. And to the south, you can see Dumbarton Quarry. And then outlined in red are the hills out there, and the intervening area between the Patterson parcel and the hills is leased by Alameda County Flood Control. And the 7 years ago, the park's western boundary was completed with the largest land donation in Park District history by the Patterson family. So with that donation, we had to plan out how to use these 300 acres. So I'm going to go through the history of how we got to where we're at today. So in 2017, that's when we started the process of evaluating feasibility and the opportunities and constraints on the site. And we brought that to the board executive committee, had a workshop on it to get feedback from the public, and also reached out to a number of agency stakeholders. Taking the information that we learned from that step, we developed some schematic designs and developed the site program, how the site would be used, and took it back to the same groups, board exec, another public workshop and stakeholders, and then shared the preferred concept with the board of directors. And the board of directors authorized staff and actually adopted the project description, and that's what staff took back to analyze under CEQA. And we went through the full CEQA process, took the project to the Parks Advisory Committee, back to the board executive committee, and then finally the board approved the EIR, the land use plan amendment, and directed staff to proceed with developing the project. So since that time, a lot has been going on. We've have a number of vegetation test plots, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in our climate adaptation slide. And we're contract growing a number of plants and trees. And we've gone through a permitting process, and we're currently at 90% plans and specifications. And I'll just jump to the bottom. One of the things we've been working on, and actually I didn't update this slide. I have good news. I heard today that we got another $1 million in another grant. So I could change that 6,750,000 to 7,750,000. So thanks to our grant staff for helping us get that funding together. I'm going to just review some of the park improvements, starting with the entrance to the park at Paseo Padre Parkway. The project will provide a new entrance with landscaping and signage, and replace an informal gravel lot with a new staging area and gatehouse further down Patterson Ranch Road, which will improve vehicle and pedestrian safety. Looking at the photo on the bottom, you can kind of see the driveway into the informal parking lot. This gravel lot over here is really close to Paseo Padre Parkway, creating some hazards. Also, visitors that park in this informal lot would also have to cross the street to get to one of the main trails leading into the park, the Tuibun Trail. And this slide showing the location of the new parking lot. The new parking lot staging area includes a 4-stall flush toilet and a gatehouse. And those two buildings are the subject of for the action for today, the Romtec buildings. So it's a 100-car lot. There's nature overlook included with this staging area. And the utilities will also be upgraded to serve the project and any future visitor center upgrades. And the project's also been designed to use the ag water from the well that's being developed on the south side of Patterson Ranch Road. There'll be a lot of new trails, 4 miles of new trails with wildlife overlooks, and 1.6 miles of existing trails that will be improved or enhanced. And the trail network will connect with the Crandall Creek Trail, which Crandall Creek also connects with the Alameda Creek Trail and the San Francisco Bay Trail. It's a parallel alignment that runs along Paseo Padre Parkway down to the Burrowing Owl Trail that connects to the newly or recently opened Dumbarton Quarry Campground. So going out, just a review of the habitat improvements. Most of the habitat improvements are north of Patterson Ranch Road. Flanking both sides of Patterson Slough, there's Oak Savanna that's planned. And then on both sides of Patterson Slough, an expansion of that mixed riparian forest, including willows and wet meadow. And then south of Patterson Ranch Road, there's an expansion of existing seasonal wetlands. And for the climate adaptation part, of course, by restoring these wetlands, we're going to improve groundwater recharge and carbon sequestration. And those are huge benefits for climate adaptation, and with the planting of the oaks to kind of reduce the heat island effects that are coming from climate change. Traditionally, with a lot of the previous projects I've worked on, the main concern is inundation from sea level rise. And this site is unique in that it's not subject to coastal flooding, but will be affected by a rising water table and extreme weather, including prolonged drought, intense precipitation, and temperature extremes. So over the past 3 years, staff has established and has been monitoring vegetation test plots to help inform the selection of resilient plant species and inform the vegetation management approaches. And coincidentally, which is beneficial to the project, those past 3 years were pretty harsh, where we saw drought, extreme weather, including flooding and temperature extremes, and then the response from burrowing mammals as well, digging after some of those plants. So the plants currently being contract grown are the ones that were the winners, if you will, in this harsh environment through these tests. And the restoration plan also takes into consideration the depth of groundwater and soil salinity. For example, the Oak Savanna is planned for upland areas to the west where depth to groundwater is deeper. And the grading plan also includes several fill mounds to increase the depth to groundwater to further offset impacts of fluctuating and rising groundwater levels. This is the slide that I did update with the recent grant that we recently picked up is the National Coastal Wetland Conservation Fund grant. It's a federal grant. So that added $1 million to our grant total. The total project costs is around $15 million. So far, we've put in about $678,000 of district funds into the project, and leaving us with a funding gap of $6.6 million. We have a number of grants that we have our eye on that we plan to apply for, totaling $7 million. And we will do our best to secure more funding. So the actions before the board today is to enter into a contract with Quincy Engineering out of Walnut Creek for construction management services. As Lisa mentioned, this is a large, complex project. One of the benefits to having a construction management firm on board and bringing them on early is that they could be involved in a constructability review of the plans before they go out to bid. The second action that we have is to authorize the purchase of one restroom building and one gatehouse from Romtec. And this is through a state of California cooperative purchasing agreement with Romtec, who also designed and supplied the buildings recently completed at Dumbarton Quarry. And the not to exceed amount for the purchase of these buildings is $325,000. So the tentative schedule is to go out to bid this winter, spring of 2022. And then hopefully we get some good bids back, and then we would have a board action before summer of 2022 with the potential start of construction in summer of 22. And we're anticipating about a year to complete the project. And that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Any questions for the board or from the board? Director Wieskamp.
Chris, you're not in the same room, but I think we are so lucky to have had you through this whole process. From everything working on at the workshops, there were different people with different perspectives, but you were very respectful of those. The concerns, everything from the birds and when they had the right area, what was going to happen with the water table. I think everybody felt comfortable that they were listened to. And I am so glad that we're finally reaching this stage, and I know you must be pleased to actually seeing some building on the site. I love the fact that you tested all these plants and some of them failed, but some of them worked out. And I just think it's a very logical approach to a site. And I commend you for that and all the work of all the staff involved. From the wet, nothing has been easy. The well, everything, but we're reaching a point where it's actually going to happen. And I can't tell you how excited I am. How can you get excited about weeds and plants and all? Yes, you can. Even Romtec buildings, everybody up here can, just because it's going to be real. And if you talk to everybody who is at Coyote Hills, lots of new people in this pandemic area have been there. So they know people are coming and that new one. So we're all going to enjoy it. So thanks again. And of course to you, Lisa.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Director Wieskamp.
And then Director Watson.
Yeah, I am aware of what happened in the last 18 months with an overwhelming number of people appearing at Coyote Hills and parking everywhere and walking long distances. And so I am wondering if you think these will be all the buildings we will need to accommodate these people, or is our plans reflecting what we expected in 2017? How are we accommodating the larger interest in visitors?
Yeah, I think Lisa Gorgon, Chief of Design and Construction. I think Jim is coming up. I would just say that these plans are reflective of what was approved by the board for the land use plan amendment. So it didn't contemplate pandemic visitation, but I think, Jim, do you want to respond?
Afternoon, President Rosario, members of the board. Jim O'Connor, your Assistant General Manager of Operations. Director Lane, it's an excellent question. I would say that even in light of the current increased visitation, this project, what's really important here is we're adding trails. That's what we need at this park is trails to spread the use out, provide new experiences for people. The kiosk is just a replacement for the existing kiosk, which actually provide a better work site location for those staff that manage the kiosk. I think they're going to appreciate that. An extra restroom at the new parking lot, which will be a great improvement for people entering the park. As you know, a lot of people park out on Paseo Padre, then have about a 2-mile walk in until they get to a restroom. So this will be really helpful from a sanitary standpoint. In terms of capacity for parking, I think this is equal to what we have now, so it's really not going to add that type of capacity. I think that when we balance out the parking with habitat, I think this is the best we can do. I don't think we can really accommodate the total use we've seen. There is quite a bit of parking that occurs now across the street in Paseo Padre, and we are having our continuing conversation with the city of Fremont. And I believe they are on board with adding in a signal light at the Paseo Padre and Patterson Ranch Road Junction, which will really help with the safety of people that are parking across the street in the industrial zone and then walking into the park. So it doesn't satisfy our total needs under COVID and this increased usage, but I think it's the best we can do given the habitat values we have at the park.
Question, Jim, follow up on that. Is the city contemplating expanding like bike roads to and from the parks?
I think that our connection over to the Alameda Creek Trail is a great. They've also just completed recently, I think you've seen the new trail, the Bay Trail segment along Paseo Padre, which is a great improvement if you've seen that. And then the last thing is our connection from through the campground over to the Highway 84 bridge, which is what a lot of commuters are really seeking, that final like half-mile connection for safety purposes. And we're going to work on and making that a legal trail connection through the park and over to there. That's something that the users have been asking us about. But in terms of other connectivity, I think really it's going to happen through the Alameda Creek Trail. I can't think of any other, I'm looking at Lisa, if she knows anything, or maybe Chris knows of other trail connections from Fremont into this location, but Alameda Creek is our primary connection at this point that I'm aware of.
Is there any existing rapid or mass transit like AC transit? Is there any stops along that route?
I'm not aware of that, Director Rosario. Possibly along Paseo Padre. It's a pretty busy roadway unless Chris knows anything about that. Chris has got his hand up, so I'm sure he has the answer.
Yeah, Director or President Rosario, I believe the city is working on a planning study to look at getting a trail connecting the Dumbarton Bridge up into Ardenwood. So they would utilize some of the trails through this Patterson site through the conceptual drawings that I've seen. And then the second item for AC transit, that having multimodal access to the park was one of the things we were looking at during the planning phases of the project. And since the pandemic, we've recently reached out to AC Transit, and they've just been hard hit. A lot of the planning that they've had for their routes have been put on hold. They're trying to figure out how to keep their they're trying to maintain their business. So at this point right now, it's not likely that we would have a new AC Transit stop close to the park anytime soon, but we will continue talking to AC Transit and pursuing that.
Thank you very much. Director Rossby, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. Chris, this is a great project. I think it's gone from the donation all the way through now. It's been an excellent idea and an excellent plan. I'd like to refer to the new park staging area and kiosk area. Do you have the ability to get that slide up? And if not, it's not a big deal. I'm noticing the kiosk is dead center in the middle of where the parking lot will be. So I could see, and I know we talked about this as a board before, are we going to charge people to park in that lot? And there was some debate over whether we would or not. This looks like people have the ability to go park in that lot and avoid paying to get much closer down by the interpretive center or Dairy Glen picnic area.
So President Waspy, if I may, we're actually undertaking, I think in the next year, might be in the next 2 years, a comprehensive look at our fee program for parking in general, and this would be considered as part of that.
Okay, but, okay, so before this thing opens up, we'll make some decisions on whether to charge for it, because as we talk about, we keep wanting to get people into the parks. AC Transit's not able to bring people to parks, and if we add an extra fee for people to get into the parks, it's against what I believe, but anyway. And once again, thanks for choosing Romtec. I don't know whom decided, but the old CXT Romtec debate, I'm glad has, seems like it's inching towards Romtec, and I'm very happy about that. And the workers' quarters was a little controversial, and we talked about, we got to tear it down. It's an earthquake spot. I understand that completely, but did we do anything with the Historical Society, like photograph it and do some historical work on that?
Yeah, so the contractor's residence, that was the project element that required the EIR, a statement of overriding consideration, and the building is still there. We're currently going through the land use entitlement process with the city of Fremont for constructing all the improvements I just reviewed. The contractor's residence is going to require a separate planning approval, a use permit to dismantle it, and that has not happened yet. And we're going to try our best to fold it into this project.
All right, great.
Any other questions? Director Wieskamp?
I don't know how many of you have been there at noon, but what is really interesting about this park is all of the businesses across the street virtually. And you frequently go out there and see employees taking their lunch hour to walk through there. And what really impressed me is a lot of those people are not looking at their phones. They're talking to each other. They're enjoying the park. And I think they're getting away from a very intense setting where they work. And this is just right next door for them. So I think it's a big benefit for the businesses that have chosen to go there. And I'll say again, Chris, you've done a great job. You've hung in through, I had not counted the years, but it's taken a while to get here. But isn't it great to be at the finish line or close? Maybe our close is what I ought to say, but very good job.
Great. Any other comments, questions? Dr. Alvarez?
Yes, thank you, Director Rosario. Deputy General Manager, Dr. Ana Alvarez. I would like to just, again, thank you for the comments and the confidence that you have placed on staff. It should be noted that this project actually highlights and showcases climate smart conservation, which is the priority for the state of California's environmental agenda. And it serves as it can serve, I should say, as a demonstration project for the many climate smart practices that will be recommended relatively short from California Pathway to 30 by 30. And so again, we are looking for partners, funding partners, to be able to make this a reality so that we can have a demonstration project in California for climate smart conservation.
Thank you. Okay. My only question is, did we do this in two separate resolutions, two votes, or can we do it all at once?
One resolution or two?
I thought it was just one. Did you, just one resolution? Yeah.
There's two subjects, just one?
Yeah,
Okay,
two
great.
subjects in one resolution.
All right. The motion is in order. Director, we.
Believe it or not, I'd like to make.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk.
Yes, President Rosario, Director Lane. Aye. Director Coffee,
All right,
Director Wasby,
aye.
Director Eccles,
Aye.
Director Weiskamp,
Aye.
President Rosario.
Aye.
Okay, Director Corbett had to leave the meeting.
Great.
So we are unanimous.
So, do I take a short break?
I think quick break would be. good.
Yeah, let's take a short break.
Breathe, drink, whatever. Stand.
Okay, we'll 10 minutes. I know we're at the end, but we need a little break. Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, if you can pause, or we can pause that.
Don't run.
I tried to distract
Carol Victor,
District Counsel, there are no reports from closed session.
Great, thank you so much. And now we come to our committee, let's see, any announcement for closed sessions? None. And then board committee reports, anything on executive committee? Looking further there from operations committee, 11:30. And then operations committee, 10:26. Okay, great.
President
So-
Rosario, we missed the actions,
Oh,
the board and staff reports.
actions, oh yes, let's hear that. Item number 6, actions taken by other jurisdictions.
Thank you, Director Rosario. Again, in the set of General Manager Landreth, Dr. Ana Alvarez, Deputy General Manager, there are 2 items under actions by other jurisdictions affecting the Park District. If there are any questions, we're happy to address them or have staff address them. I do want to showcase or bring to your attention the continued growth in population and density in Alameda County through an additional development that will bring about 6 additional neighborhoods and will create a community facilities district for the city of Dublin, which will bring forward 2 community parks, which is also very exciting, that will complement our regional system of parks.
Any questions on those 2 items? Great. This city of Dublin, this is separate from the other development that's in litigation right now. Is that correct, or is this the same? Director Lane, you would probably know. Is this another?
We had a meeting that was discussing the trail, the Toss Howard Trail, and they had planned a meeting coming up and then it didn't work because we were having a meeting.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that probably the legislative committee, of course, because they're working on the funding, will have this probably in January.
Okay.
I think everybody is really interested in making that connection through.
Great. Interesting. Okay. And then we just went through the board committee reports. And now we are at board and staff reports. And board comments. Okay, I'm going to start with from my left to the right. We'll start with Director Lane, board comments.
Okay, thank you. I was hoping to say good things about the defense bill and Port Chicago exoneration, but that didn't happen. I got excited at a distance when I hadn't been able to read the details.
Yeah.
But so for myself, since our last board meeting, we had the Natural and Cultural Resources meeting, which is really pretty interesting. And then I did go to the volunteer recognition Zoom meeting and tried to answer those questions that they had. And I didn't know that bees had 5 eyes. Did you know that?
I missed that one too.
Yeah, I was like, how many eyes do they have? That's really interesting. Anyway, so there was one of the Zoom meetings I enjoyed going to attend. And then I participated in 2 meetings that we were talking about recruiting our general counsel on December 15th and 16th. And then as I mentioned, well, I did go to 2 elected women's lunches. They seem to manage to have them again. One's Tri-Valley, which they had in Danville, so I thought I should really make that. And then the other one was in Antioch, and that's when I went over to the Contra Loma afterwards. And then, you know, you go around down golf course in Frederickson and you look up at those hills, and with that rain we've had, I mean, these hills are, you know, just grip your heart as you look at them, because they're green everywhere. And after the rain, it's just makes you want to go hike forever. So it was very beautiful in East County that day I was there. And then I have had a chance to have lunch with Tracy Parent, who lives out in Discovery Bay now,
Oh,
and talked about some of the things she's doing. She's still doing contracts for the Park District to complete some of these oral histories and keeping up her contacts with some of the long-term families. And the Arata family, you know, gave us a couple of things, and I think they should be very happy with that barn improvement at the entrance to Black Diamond Mine. So that's it. And I want to, I also spoke to the SIRS organization, and whoever wants to ask me to come speak, I get help from Dave Mason with the PowerPoint, and really shows off the Park District very well. And what's nice is that so many things were accomplished in this 18 months where people think nothing got done, you know, anywhere. And in the Park District, we have a number of things we can brag on, which I took the opportunity to do with any of these talks. So thank you and happy holidays to everybody.
okay, thank you. Director Coffey.
And the chief brag, I think, was that we managed to keep the parks open and the trails open, at least 90+% of them. And that, to me, is a distinct accomplishment of this park district. In early December, I attended the non-property open house over in Knightson, which was a event sponsored by the East Contra Costa Habitat Conservancy and our planning department. And it was well attended and well received. On the 8th, as Director Lane noted, I attended the Natural and Cultural Resources Committee. Also attended the Volunteer Appreciation Virtual Event, Mila and I as volunteer ambassadors. We did pretty well in that Cahoots game, Director Lane. We came in second. Surged in the end because of a lot of questions involving Ward 7. I think it helped that the naturalist in charge of the Cahoots game is Virginia at Black Diamond Mine, so it was fun, lots of fun. On the 10th, I attended the West Contra Costa Transportation Advisory Committee because Sean Dugan was doing a presentation to that group on the various projects, both completed and to be completed on the San Pablo Bay Trail between Rodeo and Point Pinole. On the 10th, I watched the legislative committee on YouTube. On the 10th, I attended meeting of the board of directors of Friends of Marsh Creek, which is being reorganized by and with the help of the Contra Costa Resource Conservation District. And they're going to be looking to the Park District for assistance in revitalizing that watershed group. On the 14th, I attended the executive committee meeting. On the 15th, I attended a meeting with the general manager and Dr. Alvarez and Yolanda on the orientation of the incoming president of the board. The board meeting on general counsel recruitment on the 15th, I attended. And I had a lot of fun attending on the evening of the 15th, the Contra Costa Young Democrats annual event, Christmas event, because it was held at Headlands Brewery in Lafayette, which is currently featuring Las Trampas beer. And they're out of stock of their Tilden brand, but they assured me it was coming back. They also have a Bear Creek brand. So they're very much, they're Lafayette based and very much into association with East Bay Regional Parks, which is neat. It is. And on the 16th, I guess we all attended two separate meetings involving the general counsel recruitment, one being interviews and one being deliberations. On the 17th, I attended as an alternate the operations committee. And yesterday I attended the President Rosario pre-meeting preparation for today's meeting. And in closing, I just wanted to congratulate Carol and Mona and folks on the launch of the new website. I got a chance yesterday afternoon to check it out. It is indeed dramatically different, less staid, more very dynamic site, much more interesting to visit and easier to use its various functions. I didn't get into a lot of detail, but I just bounced around this new website and was really excited by it. So thank you for all that work. And that does it for me. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Director Waspy.
Thank you. So on December 8th, I attended the Natural and Cultural Resources Committee meeting. On December 9th, I had my one-on-one with Sabrina. We had a great, I really enjoy those. We took a nice walk into Dunsmuir. Good Lord, we should buy Dunsmuir. That place is a mess. We should purchase that and save it. On the 10th, I went to the legislative committee meeting. It's just take a walk. I'll give anybody a guided tour. Anyway, on the 13th, I met with the Sierra Club leadership over Point Mulati. They made a lot of really, really good points, and I look forward to continuing meetings with them because I think obviously Point Mulati is such a valuable place. On the 14th, I met along with Eric Feeler and the legislative staff with Congressmember Barbara Lee. Had a great, wonderful meeting with her. It's always a pleasure to talk to her, and she always asks us the same question. And it seemed like a softball to throw to Eric because he had it on the ballpark. She said, you know, she's always saying every time we go to Washington, if you remember, when we meet her in the hall, she goes, you need to hire youth. You need to hire youth. You got to get youth employed. And we said, okay, we need you to support Civilian Conservation Corps and all of the things that are coming up with this new legislation. And it seemed to blend and meld really, really well. And she's totally in support of that. I don't know if she knew this, but it's kind of like throwing a trump card. We said, not only will we employ youth, but if we have a CC camps, we have areas where we can house people and have camps. We have the resources for that. So she was I think, very pleased with that. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I think we have her ear and we're doing pretty much what she wants. So on the 15th and 16th, I also did the general counsel interviews. And geez, you know, I always look at the retirees, and obviously we had a great party for Carol, and I wish you the best, and your legacy will live on here. But I want to note Brian Cordero. Brian was a fire captain. He was the most quiet human being I've ever met, but what a great guy. I knew Brian when he was a kid, and he literally came here as a kid, and he got a job detailing vehicles. When the park district had, we used to collect all our old vehicles, bring them up to South County Corporation Yard, polish them all up, and you know, change a light or fix a fender or something, and then we would hold our own auction. And Brian, that was his first job here, and I knew him for his 30 some years in the park district. And he really worked his way up. He was a park ranger. Did some hilarious things, and got into the fire service, became a fire captain, and was incredibly successful, incredibly low key, but a real inspirational person. And I wish him the best. And also happy holidays to everybody, and thanks staff and everybody else. It was a pleasure this year. Thanks.
Excellent. Director Wieskamp.
Well, I only have come here occasionally this year, except by Zoom, but thank goodness for Zoom. We may hate it at times, but otherwise we just couldn't get the job done. So my appreciation to staff who's helped us so much on that. It hasn't been easy. I too enjoyed the volunteer appreciation event. I'm sure the volunteers hope this year we're going to be able to do a live thank you with barbecue or whatever. And let's hope we can work that out. We'll wait and see. But I like the fact that they were talking about what different volunteers did and hoping that they were going to get some new people coming in or coming back, that it was a good thing to do and that people would enjoy it. I think they tried to demonstrate that. I attended the legislative meeting, and then the legal counsel interviews on the 16th, operations on the 17th, and 18. I think the shortest meeting I've attended all year. Congratulations to the nominating committee for knowing what to do. And then I'd like to bring up the fact that on the news, this is a continuing issue at Niles staging area. There was the fact that there was a new dumping of stuff there. And I don't know what we have to do to get the attention of the Alameda County Flood Control, but we need to do something, because as soon as the weather gets warmer, it's going to be just terrible again. So we need to be proactive. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think we should let it go. And then last of all, I'd like to thank Carol Victor for all the excellent advice she's given us. And you know what is really amazing is that she stayed calm through all the things well, at least to us, you've looked calm, no matter what crazy things we were doing or thinking of doing or getting involved in. So enjoy yourself in retirement, but we hope we have not seen the last of you.
You'll see me in the parks. And thank you very much. You've been a wonderful board.
Director Eccles.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, on December 10th, I had my check-in with the general manager and government affairs team, very productive meeting. On the 14th, also met with Representative Barbara Lee. As you heard from Director Waspy, we had a very productive meeting, and I'm never always so impressed with just how prepared and just what a fabulous advocate Representative Lee is for us. So really appreciate her taking the time to talk about some of these issues. Also met with the general manager and some of our senior staff regarding Point Malate, same day on the 14th. And then, as you heard, we've had 3 different meetings on the general counsel candidates, and on the 15th and 16th. On the 15th, also met with one of our park advocates around access issues for underserved communities. On the let's see, on the 17th, oh, this was a real highlight of the year. We had a site visit with Natural Resources Secretary Wade Crowfoot and Senator Nancy Skinner, where we had the opportunity to discuss the sudden tree die-off as well as solutions and resources needed to address this really critical fire hazard. We also had an opportunity to honor Senator Nancy Skinner with the Radke Advocacy Award. So that was very well deserved. As you may know, she got $10 million in resources for the Park District to address the tree die-off issue, as well as many other resources and hard work over the years. So that's very much appreciated. And then yesterday, my daughter and I had the opportunity to see Santa Claus at the merry-go-round. and I did not even know he was there. I hadn't looked at the calendar, but we just happened to stop by because we were coming up from the nature area, and we heard he was coming. So we got a buzzer so that we didn't have to wait in line. I thought that was very clever, very well done. And yeah, we had a fabulous time. And I really want to give a shout out to whoever did the display this year, because I've been to this event many times over the years, yes, and I've never seen it look so good. It was really great, and especially with COVID and everything that was being done to keep people safe, but also it was the lights and the decorations were absolutely stunning. So I encourage folks to be there. I hear Santa will be coming by every night this week, so we're special. And then I also wanted to again thank Carol Victor for just her amazing work over the years. I'm so sad that this is your last meeting. You've done such a fabulous job and worked so hard and so well, and really wish you the very, very best in your retirement and on your future journeys. I know you're not going away or anything like that, but I really hope you have a great time on your next leg of your journey, and we will definitely see you out on the trails and wish you happy trails. Thank you.
It's really been my honor to work here, and thank each and every one of you. You've been so kind and so supportive to me, and the effort you've made to make my retirement wonderful and heartfelt. I so appreciate it. So thank you, and I'm gonna cry.
Me too. Okay, and so on 12/8, General Manager Sabrina Landreth and I attended the memorial for Supervisor Wilma Chan. Very, very well attended, and it just shows how well respected and loved she was. And then on 12/8, attended the Alameda County Mayor's Conference, where we heard a presentation on the navigation center that's going to be at McKay Street. And so with the advent of 8,000 homeless people in Alameda County, and 32% of those being over the age of 55, this center is going to provide respite and recuperation and health services and hospice for a segment of the population, of the homeless population. So be glad to see that up and running. And also a second presentation was California solar storage systems. They have devised, with the help of the federal government, of a 24-hour permitting process to get solar approved through the cities and counties. And so they're I think Richmond and Walnut Creek and a couple other cities in Alameda County are going to be going to that system. So that's encouraging. And then I attended the Lake Merrick Breakfast Club on 12/9, and I heard a great presentation by Renee Richards of Cinnamon Girls, and they provide mentorship to young women who are looking for careers. And what they do is they kind of help them focus what they want to do, and then they put them on a track, and then they follow them to make sure that they get to college and then beyond. So I've recommended several of our women in the Park District to contact Renee Richards, because they're looking for women of color to give talks to inspire women and because I pointed out that we don't have that many women of color in the environment. So hopefully those women will hook up. I should include our Madam Clerk here. And then I also attended the volunteer recognition evening. Very nice. I thought it was a lot of fun and educational at the same time. I can't wait to have those people out and see them all in person. Then I attended the 12:10, attended the subcommittee for legislative committee, 12:14, executive committee. Oh, on the legislative committee, I just wanted to thank Brian Holt, who gave an update on government actions locally and regional planning. I thought that was very interesting. I think that should be part of the legislative meetings from now on. I thought it was really good, and really good news on the lake research. We are still very, very popular. 89% of the population are aware of us, and with over 90% approval rate for what we're doing. So looking forward to hearing more on that. And then we get redistricting coming up. 12:14, meeting with Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Just on top of what Director Waspy's already said, she's really interested in having some kind of a longitudinal study for people that come out of the East Bay Conservation Corps and how it affects their lives. And I thought maybe we can talk with the East Bay Conservation Corps and see if we can't help them with a grant or something. But we should definitely send her material on our adventure cruise, because I don't think she's aware of those. We had an annual report just recently. We should send that to her. I think she would be very, very happy to see that. So, and then because she loves that, and that is something she would be much interested in. And then on 12:15, we had the special closed session for general counsel. And also that day, I attended Jim Tellerico's retirement party. What a great little event. And it's so sad that, our retirees are, along with this one right here, we usually have big parties, and but for the size of despite the small size and limited space, there was a lot of love there, a lot of appreciation. His 33 years and how he managed his people and his department. It was just very touching. I think everyone there was there that really appreciated and loved his work, and we're gonna miss him too. Damn. Can I say that on the air? So I just wanted to wish Jim well on his journey, and I believe Jack Kenny was there from our former chief of operations, and he noted that Albany still hadn't figured out how to do a hybrid meeting yet, so maybe we can steer him that way. And then on 12:15, I attended Oakland Fire Safe Council meeting. And I don't know if any of you know Susan Piper. She was the founder and chair of that for many, many years. She's moving to Oregon, and so they have a new leadership there in Ken Benson. And so we will definitely miss her. She's really the heart and soul of that organization, and spreading its education on fire safe activities. And then on the 16th, we also had another special closed session for general counsel. That was and also we had two that day. And I want to thank the board members for attending both, and very important decisions to make. And then on the 17th, we attended an event with California Natural Resources Director Wade Crowfoot and Senator Nancy Skinner. Met them both at Skyline Gate, and put our fire chief on display and our programs. And I have to say that Secretary Crowfoot was very, very pleased with what he saw and what he heard, and is very supportive of our programs and future programs and our plans to institute ways to continue and remove the debris. And then, of course, we gave Senator Nancy Skinner the award from the Regional Parks Foundation for Ted Radke Award. And she was very, very appreciative. And I consider her one of those people who are visionaries from the beginning for publishing when she was born, but a visionary, definitely a visionary before she got to the board of directors here, and definitely a visionary when she was here, and now an incredible visionary in the state legislature. So we're very appreciative of her efforts to get us the funding that we did, the 10 million plus, and it was very nice to see her. And she sends all her regards to all of you. And then on the 18th, we had our ad hoc nomination committee meeting, very short, we were very prompt, and we took care of biz. And then I had on the 19th, I did a trail maintenance crew with for Diamond Park. And God, these young kids are strong. I love it. We worked in Diamond Park, and then pre-board meeting yesterday. I really love those little pre-board meetings, and I don't know why. Well, hopefully you continue to have those meetings the day before, because I don't know how you guys conducted business before that, right before the meeting. That's crazy. And then today, and so this is my last full meeting, and I just wanted to say that it's been a pleasure and a privilege to serve, and I really just want to commend the members of the board for your cooperation and your collaboration. And it's been a tumultuous year, and we've gone through pandemic and a lot of personal loss, and I feel for all those, you know, that have those personal losses, but we've had some incredible gains. Our employees, as we know, as you are incredibly resilient, incredibly creative, and you have a mindset that would be the envy of any other agency. And we have our work cut out for us ahead of us. We still have the pandemic. We have climate change coming down like a freight train.
Not telling you we're on a positive roll.
But I feel confident that we can meet the challenge. And I just wanted to end, Matthew, with a poem that had played earlier in the year, but I thought it's such a hopeful and it's just a hopeful statement and poem from our poet laureate Amanda Gorman. Matthew, if you're listening, if you can cue that up. Is he there?
He's running back to his desk. He just left the boardroom, so I don't think he's running back.
Yeah.
And I wanted to suggest that we might get a picture of the board with Carol afterwards.
Yes, we should go down to the Christmas tree down at the lobby.
Well, someplace.
Yes, yes. And while that's queuing up, I can't, to be an employee and then now a board member for this organization has just been a real eye opener, and just, Director Wasby knows too that, once you're in the park district, you can't do anything else, but at the same time, you love it to death. And I definitely love the park district. I love the people here on this dais and the people that I work with, and I really appreciate all of you. So where's my video?
Well, just to fill time, I'll say, Dee, thank you so much for your leadership, and really, we love you too.
Here we go.
Dee, if there's ever been an energetic president who hasn't seen a meeting that he's going to skip, it's you. You have been, as far as I'm concerned, phenomenal. And I'm always impressed that this is one of the groups that never fools around with who's going to be the next president, etc. We don't play games. We get everybody a turn and respect each other. And isn't that a nice way to survive in politics? So thank you so
Definitely.
much for a really splendid year.
You're welcome.
Okay, Matthew.
Uh,
All
is
right,
that it?
Matthew.
That's. There we go. How come there's no sound?
Yeah, the sound. He's got to fix it. He will.
Just 1 second.
It's a great poll.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that happened last time too. Huh? Damn, I thought. Well, if it doesn't happen, we can,
There's a selection on that YouTube link that has to allow the sound. Sarah,
I'm looking for it here.
do you know what that is on YouTube to allow the sound to come through?
There should be a setting in Zoom that allows you to share the sound when you click share screen.
Oh, it's in
That
Zoom.
might do it.
Okay. Yeah. Did you hear that, Matthew?
Yes, it did. Let me just look here and see if I can find it.
if not, we can play it later.
There we go.
On Christmas Eve, 1968, astronaut Bill Anders snapped a photo of the Earth as Apollo 8 orbited the moon. Those three guys were surprised to see from their eyes what a planet looked like an Earthrise, a blue orb hovering over the moon's gray horizon with deep oceans and silver skies. It was our world's first glance at itself, a first chance to see a shared reality, a declared stance, and a commonality, a glimpse into our planet's mirror. And as threats drew nearer, our own urgency became clearer as we realized that we hold nothing dearer than this floating body we all call home. We've known that we're caught in the throes of climactic changes some say will just go away, while some simply pray to survive another day. For it is the obscure, the oppressed, the poor who, when the disaster is declared done, still suffer more than anyone. Climate change is the single greatest challenge of our time. Of this, you're certainly aware. It's saddening, but I cannot spare you from knowing an inconvenient fact, because it's getting the facts straight that gets us to act and not to wait. So I tell you this not to scare you, but to prepare you, to dare you to dream a different reality where, despite disparities, we all care to protect this world, this riddled blue marvel, this little true marvel, to master the verve and the nerve to see how we can serve our planet. You don't need to be a politician to make it your mission to conserve, to protect, to preserve that one and only home that is ours. To use your unique power to give next generations the planet they deserve. We are demonstrating, creating, advocating. We heed this inconvenient truth because we need to be anything but lenient with the future of our youth. And while this is a training in sustaining the future of our planet, there is no rehearsal. The time is now, because the reversal of harm and protection of a future so universal should be anything but controversial. So, Earth, pale blue dots. We will fail you not, just as we chose to go to the moon. We know it's never too soon to choose hope. We choose to do more than cope with climate change. We choose to end it. We refuse to lose. We do this and more, not because it's very easy or nice, but because it is necessary. Because with every dawn, we carry the weights of the fates of this celestial body orbiting a star. And as heavy as that weight sounded, it doesn't hold us down, but it keeps us grounded, steady, ready, because an environmental movement of this size is simply another form of an Earthrise. To see it, close your eyes, visualize that all of us in this room and outside of these walls or in these halls, all of us change makers, or in a spacecraft floating like a silver raft in space, and we see the face of a planet anew. We relish the view, we witness its round green and brilliant blue, which inspires us to ask deeply, wholly, what can we do? Open your eyes, know the future of this wise planet is right in sight, right in all of us. Trust this earth uprising, all of us bring light to exciting solutions never tried before, for it is our hope that implores us at our uncompromising core to keep rising up for an earth more than worth fighting for.
Yes, worth fighting for. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Yeah, good one, D.
Love that poem.